doing? So tonight is a free-for-all. Basically what I'm doing is I'm taking gnocchi and then I'm going to create something. It's kind of fun to do sometimes. So I've got a variety of vegetables here, some leek, some mushroom, basic white button mushroom and portobello babies, some garlic, some carrots, I got some butters, one bouillon cube, got some Pinot Grigio wine, got a lemon for zesting, some Parmesan cheese, and some flour. So what we're going to do is turn this into a bake and see how it turns out. I'm just kind of winging it. So every once in a while it's good to wing it in the kitchen and kind of throw together a variety of items that you think will go good together, and then use your family as testers. So let's go find some creatures. Okay, so first thing we're gonna get going is the gnocchi. We will boil our water and we're gonna cook that. Basically, gnocchi are little potato balls. They're super easy to make, but in this case, I totally am cheating. Sometimes in the kitchen, it's worth finding a hack, and you don't always have to make every single thing from scratch. So we're gonna make the gnocchi really easy to cook. Just drop them in. Once they start floating up to the top, they're done. And it doesn't take very long to do it. So while that is getting ready, I already washed my hands. I do need a knife though. So what we'll do here is we're going to get our garlic ready. We're just going to basically saute all these vegetables. And then we're going to start throwing stuff into it and get a nice bubbly bake. And then we'll put that all in a casserole dish and then throw it in the oven for about 20-25 minutes. Super easy, nothing too difficult. My only hope is that it tastes good, because every once in a while my family says, "Hey, please don't make that again." So tonight is one of those ones that I've never made for them, so who knows how or what it will turn out like. Oh, I did want to share, which was super cheese-mo. So excited. Not going to show the brand because I'm not advertising for them. But yay, hand soap. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We have yet to find it, and a family member was at Costco today, and you could buy one pack of 4. So they bought a pack of 4 and they gave us 2 of them. At this point, we have still been taking dish soap, putting it into our hand soap dispenser, and then watering it down a little bit so it's not so thick and yucky. And it doesn't take like 27 gallons to rinse all this soap off of your hands. So it's kind of nice to have actual hand soap. Okay, so we got the garlic. Let's go ahead and use a nice chunk of butter here so that we can saute everything up in. Okay, got those. So let's do our carrots next, since they make a little bit of a mess. If you saw the previous of the vegetarian meatballs, the only issue that I had, which all of it tasted delicious, but the cream sauce that I had, I did not have as much heavy whipping cream that I thought that I did, so it didn't. I wish that I had a little bit more so that the sauce was a little, it wasn't quite so thick. I had to modify it. I added some ricotta cheese, into it to give it a little bit more of a texture. Tasted delicious, but the sauce itself was, at least in my opinion, a little too thick. But at the end of the day, it was all kind of built around the vegetarian meatballs, and they were delicious. Hopefully everybody is doing well out there, keeping yourself safe, doing what you can to stay sane, and listen to the science. The beautiful thing that I think people sometimes forget is that science, just like everything else, is an ever-growing field of study. We find new things out over the course of time, and then that replaces the previous knowledge that we have. So unfortunately, people sometimes think that since science changes that it must not be valid in some ways. But stop and consider germ theory and the fact that for quite a long time, at least in the Western world, people had no idea how something as simple as germs were passed from individual to individual. And what an amazing idea that Florence Nightingale had when she suggested that you should do something as simple as wash your hands. And how much that cut down on medical issues, well, in Florence Nightingale's process, out in the battlefield. So, up until then, at least the Western world, don't know about the rest of the world, but the Western world was completely unaware of the fact that germs were passed along that way, or heck, I don't know, the fact that there were even such a thing as germs. So science is a good thing, it evolves as we learn more, our understanding of things grows with it. Okay, so we get these all cut up. I like to put the mushrooms in a little bit after we get some of this stuff softened up, and then let them cook and sweat themselves out. Okay, our water is boiling, so let's drop our gnocchi in there. Gnocchi, 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 gnocchi. Let's get it this open. Looking for a little slot to pull, but there's not one. Okay, so really gnocchi don't take long to cook at all. I think you can see this here. So we got it going right here on this burner. We're just going to drop these in here, and as soon as they start floating to the top, which does not take long, only takes maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes. So, although I might not have gotten the right size container for them since I just filled it up. Dork I am. Okay, now that should be good. Okay, so about 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to set a little timer here so that I don't space it out while I'm sitting over here finishing up this stuff. Okay, remember leeks, the way that they grow, you want to go ahead and cut them, get what you're going to use, which I usually just go for kind of the the whitish greenish part. The darker green it gets, the more tough the fibers get. Remember to take it and wash it out because leek can get dirt and mud and grime on the inside here. So cut it in half and then rinse them out again really quick. Should be good there. Okay, and then we'll just cut these up as well. We'll throw these in with the garlic and carrot. Let those saute together for a moment. For good measure, I just thought I might take a red onion once it's all done and mixed together and just quarter some red onion and drop on top of it just so that while it's baking, cook, it'll add a little bit of extra flavor, some nice aroma, and it'll be quite tasty. Okay, so we're gonna get this going so that we can start sauteing up our mixture here. Okay, there's our minute. They're not, or our 2 minutes I should say. The gnocchi is not quite floating up to the top yet. I'm gonna go ahead and get the strainer ready over here so that when it is ready, we'll be able to strain them, and then we're just gonna leave them to the side. So that once everything's done, we can throw it all together. Okay, butter is in here. I put in about 3 tablespoons, because why not? If you're gonna cook a meal that you've never cooked before, you might as well make sure there's as much flavor as possible so that everybody likes it. Speaking of which, I need to get the salt and pepper out. I've been really excited about this sea salt and herb grinder. It's kind of cool. It adds a lot of different, I don't even know what type of herbs it has in here. Hey, herb, what's in there? It just has herbs. I have no idea. Got it at Lidl. They always have. Okay, all the gnocchi is starting to float up to the top now, so let's go ahead and turn that off. We're going to take our gnocchi off of the boiler, go ahead and strain it, and we're just going to leave that sitting to the side. We will add all of that momentarily, but we'll just leave it there for now. Okay, butter's melting. While that's doing that, I'm going to get a baking dish. So that we have it ready to go to rock and roll, baby. Okay. Off, off. Okay. Should be good there. Be back in 1 second. butter's melted. So, the order I like to go in is garlic first for about 30 seconds. Don't ask me why. Just releases the oils. Love that smell. So we'll cook those really quickly, about 30 seconds. And I like to add the carrots because they need to soften up just a little bit. I'm sure based on, I don't know, actual chefs and order and what you're supposed to do, I'm probably doing it backwards, but for my household, this is what I found works. Okay, so carrots and wheat, drop those in there. Dropping stuff. Hi. So we'll just saute these for a couple of minutes and we'll toss our mushrooms in. And then we'll go from there. I'm going to go ahead in a little glass, get our bouillon kind of just soaking a little bit. I don't want a ton in there, but we do need some. Kind of let that get broken up a little bit. Okay. Now we'll toss our mushrooms in, let them saute, let them sweat out. They create, once they get to a certain point and they start sweating back out, you get a whole bunch of good flavors and a little, not a ton, but a little bit of extra fluid in there from the mushrooms sweating out. While this stuff's going on over here, we'll go ahead and zest our lemon, which should have a little zester here somewhere. Okay. And I don't know where it went. Right here in front of my face. Okay, so we'll take our lemon zester. We just want to zest the lemon. We're going to toss that in. Hey guys. Okay. Got our lemon zest. We're going to also squeeze the lemon juice in there. Adds a nice fresh flavor, especially in the middle of the summer. Kind of nice. So here's what we have going on right now. Got all of our vegetables in there sauteing. So give that just a couple more minutes, then we'll add some wine, let that reduce just a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna go for about 8 ounces here, roughly, give or take. So that cook off for just a minute. Remember, if you're using wines, beers, anything in food to cook with, that once it boils, it does burn off the alcohol, so you don't have to worry about that if that's a concern. The flavor remains, but it burns off the alcohol, so you don't have to worry about that. So we'll let this heat back up, let that reduce just a little bit. Mixing up our bouillon here, which works much better in actual boiling water, but it is what it is. It'll break up once we get it in the hot mixture there. What do I keep saying? Oh. We're going to need about 12 ounces of milk, so we'll go for, there's 8, let's say that's about 12 ounces. Should work. Smells good. Okay, now to this, we are going to add our 12 ounces of milk. We are going to add our bouillon. We'll let it break apart and get all settled in there. I know that's not how you're supposed to do it. Thank you, Troy. We're going to add a cup of Parmesan cheese. Again, if you have not this sort of Parmesan cheese, but real Parmesan cheese, always, always, always preferred. But we do what we do. I break some of these clumps up. Fourth of a cup, give or take. Okay, like that. Dry Parmesan and 2 tablespoons of flour. Kind of almost like a roux, kind of hold everything together, kind of pull everything together. But unlike a roux, we didn't make it ahead of time. Okay. Let's go ahead and mix all this together. And the flour will help thicken it up just a little bit. Kind of break some of this apart. Get a whisk. What's up? Yeah, what are you gonna do? Sure. So just run a whisk through, break up any of the clumps of either the Parmesan cheese or the flour, and just kind of break those clumps apart. Instead of milk, if you have some heavy whipping cream, that would work really nicely. Heavy whipping cream is always really nice to make a white sauce with. But in this case, you can use milk and some flour to thicken it up just a little bit. So we'll go that route. Okay. Now we're going to toss in some of our lemon zest. Give it a little spring. Put a little spring in its step. And for just half of the lemon, I'm going to use some of the juice for just half of the lemon to kind of freshen it up a little bit. Okay, looking good. Looking good, man, looking good. Okay. Put in a couple dashes of pepper, a little bit of salt. Again, salt and pepper to your family's liking. I know how my family is, so there's a little bit more salt than maybe your family would take. But I know how my family is, so. Okay, we're going to remove that from the heat. Just pull it over here. We're going to take our gnocchi and we're going to drop this in here without splattering and burning ourselves. It is very starchy. Once it gets back into the liquid, you'll be able to break the little potato balls back apart. Okay. So that is all that we have there. Should be good. Now that I've concocted this dish, I should probably at this point taste it to see if I need to add anything to it. Oh, that is delicious. Want to try this? That's good, huh? Okay. Well, my daughter holds that we haven't even baked it yet, and I think I need to try one more sample just to make sure I, quality control. Snapper Doodlebug, that is delicious. Okay, so now we're just going to take our bake that we have here. Well, it's not a bake yet, but all this that we just did. And we're just going to go ahead and put this into the casserole dish. all the last of the goodies out. Okay, and just kind of maneuver everything around just a little bit. Now I think what I said I'm going to do, which was kind of an afterthought, so what we will do is I'm going to take a red onion, hopefully I have one. Okay, I don't. So instead I'm going to take a sweet Vidalia onion, and we're not going to do anything to this one. We're not going to saute it, we're not going to cook it, we're not going to do anything. Get your little paws out of there. You know, it is a good thing if people bust into the kitchen and want to eat some of whatever it is before you even have it cooked. I think you're basically on the right track if that's taking place. And if it's an 11-year-old that's doing it, I doubly think you're on the right pace. So, okay, so all we're going to do with this onion here is basically quarter it into fourths, and then we're just going to take these and just kind of, let's get rid of that little gross part. Let's get rid of that part altogether. Okay, so we're just going to kind of drop these on top here. One, it will give it a little more flavor. And in addition to that, it's going to, as you're, why is there like one row in there that just, as they're cooking, these onions will brown up and they'll caramelize a little bit while they're cooking. You don't even have to do anything for them, just kind of drop them in there. We'll let those go on the top like that. And let me get this over here so that you can see it. At this point, I'm not going to stick it in the oven. We have soccer tonight, so I'm making dinner ahead of time so that before we get back home, my wife can throw dinner in. So this is what it's going to look like before we get going. We'll finish it up later. Peace.